There's a quiet comfort in having a backup plan. It's a whisper that tells you, you'll be okay even if this doesn't work out. It makes you feel secure, safe, wrapped in a mental cushion. And for most people, that's enough. They want to chase their dream, but only if they can do it from a distance. They want to take the leap, but only if the ground below is padded. So they build safety nets, a second option, a fallback, a plan B. But here's the truth, the world won't tell you that safety net is the very thing holding you back. It doesn't protect you. It imprisons you, it kills urgency, it delays action, it robs you of the hunger required to rise. And worst of all, it convinces you that you have time. That's the illusion. That plan B gives you freedom. But real freedom, the kind that builds legacies, the kind that defines greatness, comes from total commitment. It comes when you have no other choice but to make it work. It comes when you take every excuse, every backdoor, every what if it doesn't happen and set it on fire. Because when there's no retreat, there is only one direction left, forward. And that's when you discover what you're truly capable of. Look around. How many people do you know who say they're chasing a dream but never go all in? They dip their toe in the water but keep one foot firmly on land. They talk about starting a business but keep clinging to the job they hate. They say they want to be a creator, a speaker, an athlete, but only after the timing is perfect. After the bills are covered, after life stops throwing challenges. The truth? That perfect moment will never come. The universe rewards those who show up without conditions. The world bends for those who step out without a net. Because life recognizes commitment, not convenience, let's make something clear. It's not that Plan B is inherently wrong. It's that Plan B becomes a crutch, and a crutch makes you weak. When you know there's a way out, you don't fight with your whole soul. You don't push through the fire. You don't build the resilience you need to dominate. Instead, you settle, you delay. You bargain with your dream, saying, if this doesn't work, I'll just fall back. But here's the secret. Anyone who talks like that is already falling. Because the dream requires sacrifice. It demands obsession. And it will never hand itself over to the part-time believer. Think about the lion on the hunt. He doesn't have a backup meal. He doesn't say, if I don't catch this prey, I'll just grab something later. No, he locks in. Laser focus, life or death. That intensity, that clarity is what separates predators from prey. And in the jungle of life, where only the boldest survive, you don't get to eat if you're hesitating. You either hunt with purpose or you starve with potential. You know why most people never rise? It's not because they lack talent. It's not even because they don't want it. It's because they've convinced themselves they have more time. They keep preparing, planning, studying, hesitating, and then suddenly, 5 years are gone, 10. Life passed them by while they were polishing their parachute. That's what a safety net does. It gives you permission to wait. And waiting is the enemy of winning. Now ask yourself this. What would happen if you truly went all in? If you deleted the backup plan, if you stopped preparing for failure and started preparing for war? What would happen if you burned the boats, cut the ropes, and made this thing non-negotiable? That version of you, the version that's hungry, desperate, fearless, that's the version that can't lose. Because when you remove retreat, you activate something primal. The fight, the fire. The part of you that knows, this has to work. I will make it work. There is no other option. Every legend you admire had a moment where they eliminated the exit. They didn't succeed because they were special. They succeeded because they were cornered. And when you're cornered, you don't negotiate, you don't doubt, you attack, you execute. You become the weapon. That's the real power of having no plan B. It makes you dangerous. It removes the hesitation. It strips away the excuses. And it forces you to discover who you really are when nothing else is guaranteed. You want to know the truth? Success is not about comfort. It's not about balance. It's not even about confidence. It's about conviction. The kind of conviction that says, I don't need a backup, I don't want one. I don't care what it costs I'm doing this or I'm dying trying. That level of certainty, it's rare, it's radical. And that's why most never reach it. But the few who do, they change the world. So if you're sitting there thinking, what if I fail? Flip the question. What if you succeed beyond your wildest imagination, but never get there because you were too busy hedging your bets? What if the very thing you thought was protecting you is what's been sabotaging you this whole time? Understand this. Fear is normal. Doubt is normal. But clinging to a plan B isn't courage, it's quiet surrender. And if you keep surrendering, every time it gets hard, you'll never taste the fire that comes with victory. Because victory doesn't come to the most prepared, it comes to the most committed. The ones who stay in the ring when everyone else walks away. The ones who throw away the parachute and decide to fly anyway. You're not here to live a life of maybe. You weren't built for safety. You were built to conquer. And conquering requires risk. It requires sacrifice. It requires faith. So loud that fear can't breathe. So whatever it is you're holding on to, whatever backup plan you've been keeping in your back pocket, let it go. Light the match. Burn the boats. And step into the fire. Because once you do, once you truly commit without a way out, the world changes. Opportunities find you. Strength fills you. And life begins to move in ways you never imagined. Not because the path got easier, but because you got stronger. And all of it began the moment you decided there was no plan B. There's a story passed down through generations. A commander, outnumbered and outmatched, arrives by ship with his army on foreign shores. His men are nervous, their eyes scanning the horizon filled with uncertainty. The enemy is powerful. The odds are steep. The risk is undeniable. And then he gives a single radical command: burn the boats. No retreat, no way back, victory or death. That moment doesn't just mark a strategic decision, it reveals something deeper. Something primal. That moment is the birth of the warrior mindset. The shift from I hope I win to I must win or I cease to exist. This is not about drama. It's about clarity. When you remove the option of going back, your mind sharpens. When you close every door but one, your energy becomes focused like a blade. Doubt disappears, excuses vanish. Because now there is no later, there is only now, no comfort zone. No cushion to fall back on, just fire, forward motion. And the demand for excellence. The phrase, burn the boats, isn't just metaphor, it's a declaration of war on your own limitations. It's the moment when you stop flirting with greatness and commit to it. The warrior mindset is born in the chaos of no options, when the fallback plan is gone and the pain is real. Because pain sharpens purpose, pressure births power. And warriors are not made in safety, they're made in the arena of necessity. Look at history. Hernan Cortes burning his ships before facing the Aztecs. Alexander the Great destroying his fleet so his men had no option but to conquer. These weren't reckless moves. These were calculated acts of total commitment. Because they understood one truth: people fight differently when survival is at stake. When there's a way out, the fight is optional. When there isn't, the fight becomes instinct. This mindset doesn't just belong to soldiers, it belongs to every legend. Think of Elon Musk putting his last personal dollars into SpaceX when the world called him insane. Think of Kobe Bryant waking up at 4 a.m. every day to train, not because he had to, but because he'd already burned the boats of mediocrity. Think of Oprah rising from a background of abuse and poverty, refusing to let her past become her anchor. She didn't have a plan B, she had a mission, a calling, a warrior's purpose. When you burn the boats, you signal to the universe that you are ready. Not interested. Not curious. Ready. There is a different kind of energy in people who have no other choice but to succeed. It's not fake confidence. It's forged confidence, built in fire, earned through pain. The warrior mindset doesn't ask for guarantees, it thrives in uncertainty. Because it understands certainty isn't real. But commitment is. Too many people treat life like a buffet. I'll try a little of this, maybe some of that. If this doesn't work, I can always fall back. That's not how champions are built. Warriors don't try. They train, they commit, they bleed. They don't ask if the path is safe, they ask if the mission is worth it. And once the answer is yes, they move with fury, with precision. With zero interest in what lies behind them. Here's the truth. Life will test you. It will break you. It will push you to the edge. And if you've kept a safety net, you'll use it. You'll back down when it gets too hard. You'll quit when the pain becomes too loud. But if you've burned the boats, if you've removed the exit, then the only way is through. And that's where the growth lives. That's where transformation begins. On the other side of, I have no choice. Ask yourself, what boats do you need to burn? The toxic relationship you keep running back to? The job that drains your soul but pays your rent? The dream you watered down to please people who never believed in you? What doors do you keep unlocked just in case? Because every time you keep a way out, you delay becoming who you were meant to be. You don't become a warrior when things are easy. You become one when the flames are at your back and your only option is to rise. When the village is behind you in smoke and the enemy is ahead in steel and you still move forward, that's when the mindset is born. When your actions aren't based on comfort or convenience, but on commitment to something bigger than fear. This is your turning point. This is the chapter where the excuses get burned alongside the boats, where you stop being interested in success and start demanding it from yourself, where you don't want the life you refuse to live, anything less than the vision you were born to fulfill. That's what warriors do. They don't wish for the win. They train for the win. They don't ask for the path to be easy. They become stronger than the path is hard. And when they stand in front of that path, they don't hesitate. They look back at the ships, the comfort, the past, the doubt, and they light the torch. They throw it, they burn it all, because they know what we're all beginning to understand. If you want to conquer, you cannot keep an escape. If you want to rise, you cannot hold on to the rope of retreat. If you want to win like a warrior, you have to think like one. So here's your choice. Keep the boats and live in what if, or burn them and become the reason your bloodline remembers your name. The world doesn't belong to the hesitant. It belongs to the relentless. No plan B, no retreat, no surrender. Just forward, just fire, just you and the mountain ahead. Let's strip away the theory. Let's silence the motivational noise. Let's get real. Because the warrior mindset, the one that burns the boats, destroys the exits and forces full commitment. It's not just a romantic idea, it's the fuel behind every legendary name that ever turned the impossible into the inevitable. You want proof? You want raw, undeniable evidence that burning the boats works? Then look no further than the lives of those who didn't just talk about greatness. They lived it. Start with Elon Musk in 2008. The economy was crumbling, his companies were bleeding, and the world was laughing. Tesla was seen as a joke. SpaceX had failed 3 rocket launches in a row. Most investors had walked. Most friends had doubted. He had a choice, hold on to his last few million and play it safe or go all in. What did he do? He took the money he could have lived comfortably on for the rest of his life and poured it into the 4th launch of SpaceX and the survival of Tesla. That wasn't risk. That was madness to most people. But to him, there was no plan B, no. Second act, no fallback strategy. Just fire, vision, and the refusal to quit. And that 4th launch? It worked. SpaceX made history. Tesla survived. And the world watched as a man who had burned every ship behind him rewrote the rules of what was possible. Then there's Sylvester Stallone. Before the fame, before the glory, he was broke. Not metaphorically, literally broke. Sleeping in a bus station, selling his dog just to buy food. But he had a dream. A script called Rocky. He believed in it with every cell in his body. When producers offered him thousands for the script, but without him as the lead, he said no. Over and over again, he had no safety net, no backup plan. Just belief. It got so bad, he had to buy his dog back. But he stayed committed, and eventually they gave in. He got the role. He told the story. He won the world. Not because he was lucky, but because he never gave himself a way out. And what about JK? Rowling? Before the billions, before the book signings and the magic, she was a single mother living on government assistance, scribbling ideas for Harry Potter on napkins in cafes. Publishers rejected her again and again. She could have stopped. She could have taken the logical route, the stable path. But she didn't because the vision was too strong. There was no alternative. She wrote like her life depended on it, because in many ways it did. And when the world finally read that story, it didn't just sell, it shook the culture. It became a movement. And the woman who had every reason to quit, every excuse to choose Plan B, became a billionaire who built a legacy on unbreakable conviction. Here's the pattern. Those who win without retreat, without surrender, without a safety net, they go further. Not just because they're talented, not just because they worked hard, but because they eliminated the escape. They gave themselves no room to half-try, to kind of care, to sort of hope. They made success mandatory, not optional, you might say. But they had something special. No, they had something most people are too afraid to access: full emotional, financial, spiritual, and physical commitment. They risked not just money or time, they risked being misunderstood, ridiculed, rejected. They looked at their boats, their comfort, their fallback, and they lit the match. Even in sports, the same truth holds. Kobe Bryant, his plan B was more pain. His plan A was obsession. That's why he trained at 4 a.m. That's why he shot 1,000 jumpers a day. That's why he studied game tape when others were partying. Because he didn't give himself the luxury of maybe. Every rep, every shot, every moment, it was life or death in the arena. That's the warrior code. You don't train because you might win. You train because you can't accept losing, not mentally, not morally, not in your blood. Now ask yourself, what if they had a plan B? What if Elon had saved his money and walked away? What if Stallone had sold his script and disappeared? What if Rowling had gotten a 9 to 5 and given up on magic? What if Colby decided sleep mattered more than legacy? The world would be missing giants, legends, stories that change lives. And this isn't just about fame or money. This is about you, your potential, your legacy. What boats are you still afraid to burn? What's stopping you from giving yourself the gift of desperation, the kind that sharpens your senses and ignites your soul? Because make no mistake, those who hesitate decay. Those who retreat disappear, but those who commit, they become immortal. There are people out there right now living your dream not because they were better, not because they were luckier, but because they refused to keep a door open behind them. They walked through one door, slammed it shut, and welded it closed. They didn't care if it worked immediately. They didn't care if people laughed. They made the decision and then they made it work. And if you're waiting for the right time, know this: burning the boats makes it the right time. It makes you resourceful. It makes you creative. It activates survival intelligence, divine focus, and indestructible resilience. The kind that can't be taught, it can only be triggered. And that trigger is commitment. So now it's your turn. This is the final chapter, the last breath of excuse. You've seen the fire, you've heard the stories, you know the path. The question is not, can you? It's, will you? Will you be the one who played it safe? Or the one who made the jump? Will you keep hiding behind the what-ifs? Or face the unknown with a warrior's stare? Will you cling to your boats? Or watch them burn and walk into your destiny with nothing but belief in your fists and fire in your heart? Because the ones who change the world, they don't retreat. They don't flinch. They don't fall back. They burn the boats. And then they win.